Anmol, welcome to Product Growth Stories. So happy to have you here. You are the CEO of Emitrr. Can you tell us a little bit about what is this product and why did you launch it in the first place?
Sure. Thanks for having me, John. And at a very top level, and I can tell you a little bit about the product. Pre-AI, post-AI, every product has changed in the post-AI world. In the post-AI world, at a very top level, we are trying to build an AI employee for healthcare businesses, right? So like a receptionist or a front desk that's in an office. Pre-AI world, we were making receptionists successful. Post-AI world, we are building receptionists that do all the tasks, right? So that's essentially what we do.
So you stayed in the same niche, but you're taking a larger size of the problem.
Absolutely. We were going after the budget, which was more of automation budget. Now we're going after the receptionist budget, right? The money they spend on hiring people. We're saying that can we back that as a budget and solve that as a problem?
Makes a lot of sense. And I'd love to hear about this transition overall. I mean, it's happening right now. And as a marketer, I noticed the demand is shifted. People are not as interested in traditional, even the things that they were interested in last year. It's really changed. I think because it works now, like it works a little better. But how has that worked for you? Like, how would you say the reception has been since your shift into more of an entire employee is taken care of?
Sure, absolutely. And like you rightly pointed out, it works now. That's the biggest key here. There is a backstory to this and why we went into this and how it's working for us, or what's been the reception, right? Interestingly, in the pre-AI world, we actually started with the problem which everybody's investing dollars behind now. Back in 2020, me and my co-founder Pulkit, we actually started to build an AI company to solve the problem of missed calls for healthcare practices. In US, if you see, almost 20-25% of the calls are missed, right? And if you look at the biggest complaint, local businesses don't answer phone calls.
And there are services out there. I know there's services out there for like very local businesses that say, hey, work with us and we'll just be your phone call. We answer immediately. And they somehow try to follow your SOP.
And those are the services we tried to replace back in 2020 by using Google Dialogflow and all the platforms where you train those platforms. At that time, nobody understood the problem. Everybody said, hey, AI is just a fad, right? Today, because OpenAI and a lot of these LLMs have actually solved the problem of you not having to deploy engineers behind training it, right? So we've come back to that problem. So for us, our logic was that, hey, the problem we started out with, now we're in a better position to solve it, right? And as far as reception goes, there's a lot of tailwinds also now, right? Even customers want this because they realize from their own usage, right? They use ChatGPT and realize that, hey, AI is so much better, so why don't I use that? So that's essentially
the market. Like, we all accept it now a little bit more than before. If the voice sounded off, you might make people angry, I think.
So customers are coming to us every day and saying that, hey, we've been using your product. Can you also give us, what do you have on the AI side? So more than the reception, there's been a tailwind, right? There's been a lot of demand for this.
That you're also seeing requests for professional services from the same market. Is that what you mean? Or did you mean something else?
I don't know. What I'm saying is that customers now want an AI receptionist or an AI product to answer phone calls, right? So that's how they're thinking about it as well.
And for Emitrr, how are you finding like net new eyeballs, the right eyeballs for Emitrr? I know it's always a struggle with especially hospitals and healthcare. It's not the easiest market to sell into compared to a lot of others. I'm curious, what are you finding that works?
I think a lot of this answer goes back to mostly the founder's background and their strength. I've had success at 2 previous startups building inbound engines, right? Where they were able to generate a lot of inbound demand. And if contrary to most companies which will start outbound, they'll start reaching out, right? We said, hey, we'll try to keep the company small and see if we can build an efficient inbound engine. We're lazy that way. So we let people come to us. Most of the time is all inbound, right? People find us on the internet through bottom of the funnel content that we write and get them a lot through that content. And that's how they come to us. That's 70% of our demand. The rest 30% is pure play performance marketing and outbound engine, which we've just started. Now that we've learned who are our customers, what ICP we should go after, who can pay us more, who can pay us lesser, we're now going after the larger guys by understanding who can pay us more. So that's been our that's what's worked for us so far.
Okay, so just to think of it in these chunks. So you have you first started with bottom of funnel content. So this means the kinds of things you would only want to look at if you were looking for some kind of solution for this problem. So you started with that and trying to get traffic, like SEO kind of traffic, to your site with bottom of funnel content. And then after that, you added on some paid ads, some paid social ads, and then outbound. That's interesting. Yeah, everybody has this idea that outbound is free. And so I think a lot of people are very attracted to outbound. This is also similar for SEO. There's this concept for a lot of founders. Oh yeah, somehow it's free, but it takes a lot of effort.
I think it's more expensive than the ads. Right? The reason is because you lose time and you can't get back that time. So if you raise whatever money, or even if you don't raise money, you'll always come back. You can figure out ways to generate money. But if you lose that time, it's gone. So outbound is actually way more expensive to go out and try to get customers without actually knowing enough about your customers, unless you've been in that industry. So I think outbound is actually, contrary to most people, I think it's probably the worst channel to go after.
And the problem with outbound is you have no idea if the person you got a hold of wants anything. They might be completely fine or not problem aware, or so many other elements. Yeah, I've seen this with, sometimes I recommend that founders start with just paid ads, because you can quickly see what does it cost to get someone on the phone with that problem. You don't have to even know what you're selling yet, but it is a great way to get a hold of people.
Absolutely. So we also ran paid ads, learned what keywords work, and then moved them into a more organic funnel. We used to short circuit insights by spending money, right? And again, going back to something that, hey, money is temporary, right? You can generate money again. You can't bring back that time. So it short circuit and then put that into our organic funnel.
Time is forever gone. I love it. Okay. And then do you find, what kind of sales motion do you find works? Do you need, because on the one hand, it's not the most complicated of a concept, right? I'm sure everyone understands, great, that would be fantastic if I have fewer missed calls. You can quantify like the value, especially like doctor schedules and all of that. I'm sure it's very easy to connect it to costs. Like, what's the touch level that you need to sell a product like Emitrr?
Maybe, and this will change with time, right? Given that we are very bottom of the funnel right now, it's mostly people who've made up a decision to buy a product already, right? Because they have a problem, they're looking to solve it. So they've already made up their mind that I need to solve this problem. It really boils down to which product is the right fit for me, be it from a value that they generate, be it from a pricing perspective, etc. Right? So for us, it's very low touch sales right now. And I would still call it low touch even for the larger ticket size. It's low touch, but it just takes longer time because of decision making, right? So if you're going after larger hospitals, it takes time because it's in making tree. It's not that we are doing a lot of consultative selling right now, or we're saying that, hey, we're generating or creating a category, right? That's not what we're doing. So for us, very low touch. People come in and typically take a decision in the first 3 to 4 days and end up buying the product.
How do you feel about, so you brought up category design, which, it's big words. How do you feel about the concept of category design? How applicable is it to B2B SaaS and AI SaaS products?
I actually don't like the term category creation at all. And I'll tell you why. It is creating a category, right? And I could be wrong. Maybe it's with time I will learn. But so far, I disagree with people who say I created a category. I think nobody creates any category. And the reason for that is that I'll give you a simple example. Companies or customers are always solving a current problem in some way or the other, right? Maybe the way your product solves it is 10x better, but you didn't create that need. The need was always there. So I'll give you an example. Today, our customers go back into their landline and listen to the voicemail and then reach back out to a missed call, right? Or manually send appointment reminders through postcards. Now I can claim that, hey, I created a category of solving the problem of missed calls or appointment reminders. I didn't. They were already solving that problem. I'm just solving the problem 10x better. I see people saying that, hey, we created a category of AI, right? You made it better, 10x better or 100x better with AI. You didn't create it. So I tend to disagree with category creation as a concept.
I've been in some of, maybe you've been in one of these meetings in a former corporate life, I don't know, where how do we rebrand the problem because we would like to be more unique and differentiated. Okay, we're going to be a client partner or something, right? Instead of a product or whatever. But for me anyway, it comes down to always trying to think as if I'm the other person. Like, how does that, the customer's worldview, they don't know what we're talking about. Like they it would, like, they just only see that from the problem from their own daily life perspective. And just like you're saying, it's all problem based, not it's not oriented in terms of solutions.
Creation and that pitch works very well if you're trying to raise capital. That's a place to talk about categorization. But for customers, really what matters is my current state is state A. Will your product take me to state B, which is 10x better than state A, right? Now, it could be as simple as saying that I'll save you 5 hours, etc. Customers don't care whether you raised capital, you created a category, your product AI or not AI. They don't care about all of that. They just care about how do you solve their problem.
Is there more to Emitrr than, or I'm not sure the right way to ask this question, but I'm sure there's much more than just we replace a receptionist. What other benefits can you see when you're using this AI solution versus hiring more receptionists? Like, how is it different than just the stopgap?
I'll break it down into two parts, which is the SaaS product and the AI product, which is with our AI product uses our own SaaS product to achieve tasks. Right? But before I do that, I'll just share one other learning. A popular belief, we are not replacing receptionists. I know each AI company is saying that, hey, we will replace support agents, we will replace. Again, we think of it very differently. We don't want to go in there and replace anybody because that's a disastrous recipe. Maybe that pitch will work better for a different audience. I'll tell you why replacing agents in the healthcare world is probably not the best way to get customers. If you look at US, it suffers with shortage of healthcare staff, right? Which is why getting an appointment is so difficult because there's already shortage of providers, there's shortage of nursing staff, there's turnover of receptionists, right? And now if I'm going into an office and I'm saying that, hey, I'll replace your receptionist, it's highly likely saying I'm going to 10x the problem. So our approach is that, hey, there is a shortage of staff. You probably don't have enough talent. Can we bring in AI to fulfill that gap instead of saying that widen the gap, right? So we are saying that we are building receptionists to fulfill the gap of receptionists that's already there, not to replace the ones that you have. So that's our thought process. And that's the stand that we are taking. We're not going in there to replace anybody. And the way we think of the AI and the non-AI product is that non-AI product makes the current receptionist successful by automating a lot of their manual tasks. Product, which could be simple things, right? Like sending out reminders to patients. For example, let's say automating a lot of their workflows. Very simply put, we look at their job descriptions. What all do they do? What would they do manually? We automate that through a workflow. And the AI comes in to say that, hey, now you have another team member that can do exactly. And so that's how we think of it.
And there's two things in my mind about like the actual practicalities of living with it, of living with that solution. I imagine that a couple things I just want to bring up and see where they land with you. One is whenever you try to do anything with technology, you have this change management issue. Like, okay, we can't behave exactly the same because something is different now. And that's something you always have to solve if you want it to have a long-term success, especially in a larger organization. You can't just drop in technology and have them deal with it. And the other thing I'm wondering, so that's one thing I'd love to talk to you about. And the other is, do the jobs change for the receptionist? Because I imagine if AI is handling a certain class of tasks, they're going to handle more complicated things, like more stuff where you actually really want a person there to talk to.
I'll answer both your questions. Okay, maybe your first question is, hey, how do you overcome change management? How do you convince that, yeah, you use ChatGPT, but there is also AI for healthcare businesses, which is as good, right? With respect to change management, definitely, maybe I'll share an analogy. Typically, when people come to me and say, it's AI, if you're employing AI, you're hiring a new person. I think of it like this. Somebody came and told me that, hey, we'll give you an AI AE salesperson or an AI SDR. You can feel free to say goodbye to your sales people. They can do something else. Outrightly reject the idea.
There's ads like this, right? Like everyone's saying, like, I just fired my marketing team with whatever product.
So let's forget AI, right? Let's think of me hiring a new sales guy. I will never hire them and tell them that, hey, why don't you go and take the demo now, right? Let's look at how a new person gets hired, right? I'll probably, in any instance, I'll probably tell them that, hey, why don't you look at our existing demos? Why don't you do some internal mock demos? And then why don't you go and do some demos and I'll join in and shadow those demos. And then after some time, when I feel okay, you can take all the demos, right? That's how companies hire and transition people from a new hire to somebody who can take up the role completely, right? That's exactly how AI should also be employed. That you go in and take up a portion of the job instead of the entire job. So the way we are doing this is we are saying that, hey, you're already missing out on phone calls after hours and during weekends. Can we take up that? Because that's anyway lost revenue. And if with time you feel AI is doing a job as good as your front desk, then you start giving us calls during office hours, portion of it, and then all of the calls. So that's how change management has to happen. I can't go the other way where I say, hey, I'll take up all of your calls.
That would be some project manager would die there.
So the easier way to say is that, hey, you're losing out on something already. Let us take that up. And any uplift is anyway positive. And then we'll take up everything else.